Hello, uh, impromptu sort of thing happening. Uh, I figure I've been playing this game a lot lately, and you know what? I might as well make a little guide on it, make a little tutorial. Someone who wants to get in, because honestly, this game's really cool. I love it. If you saw my little meme video, um, you probably understand that I've played this game a bit more than the average person who has ever touched this game, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, forward to showing everyone how you play this game. So, I'm just gonna pop into practice. Um, give a brief rundown on all the characters in the roster, sort of how you play them, why you would play them, which kind of people or archetypes you're looking for. Play styles, rather. I don't believe in archetypes as much as I do play styles, because you could have one person and they could go ahead and play, something like First Strike Akuma, right? But then they go over to Street Fighter 6, and then all of a sudden they're a Honda main, right? So it all depends on what exactly you're looking to get out of your characters, rather than sort of how the character plays themselves. So I'm just going to start. I'm going to go from the top left to the bottom, left to right, top to bottom, just get everything over with. So I'm just going to use Moon as my dummy. Yeah, let's take a look here. So I'm just going to start off with who I personally think is the most character. Pluto. Pluto. Pluto is no longer a planet, and therefore she kind of sucks. What does Pluto have? Hold on a second. Pluto has a fireball. See how it falls down the screen, but if you notice something, it's not full screen, which is a big problem. Sort of like, okay, so if you catch, say, your opponent in the corner, you can sort of catch him, although it's definitely enough of a gap that they can guard cancel if you keep trying to spam this. The heavy version, so quick intro, might as well just do that right now. You have 4 buttons. This is a 4-button game. You have a light punch, heavy punch, light kick, and each character is a grab. I'll elaborate on which button grabs. So for Pluto, it's heavy kick that does the grab. So Street Fighter style, old Street Fighter style, you walk in front of your opponent, you press the button while moving forward or backwards, and then you grab your opponent, right? So one other thing I should know is that every character is a backdash. When you see the little shadows while they're backdashing, that means they're fully invulnerable. More on that later. In any case, I'm just moving the mouse. Okay, I'm just messing around there, I'm sorry. Anyways, Pluto. What does Pluto do? So we already introduced sort of that fireball. This is the heavy version of it. It's half circle forward motion. Let's see if I can do this. Does a lot of chip damage on block, although not like a movement control 2 characters at once. You can guard cancel it. Quick rundown on what a guard cancel is. Essentially, in some fighting games, you have a mechanic in which while you're in block stun, essentially, hold on. You see how Moon is sort of shaking? That means she's in block stun, she can't do anything. you know, you can transform that block stun into an attack of your own and sort of regain the upper hand. You might have heard this in other nerdy terms, hard stuff like alpha counters. Combo breakers do exist, however, they're more of a attack your opponent while they're hitting you. That's hit stun. You know, this is an example of hit stun right there. There are no combo breakers in this game. It'd be funny if there was, because this is not a very combo-centric title. So, yeah, anyways, that's the first of Pluto's special moves after a long tangent about system mechanics. The second one, she holds back, and then presses kick, and does an overhead, sort of like a Sonic boom, but it's an overhead. This move's surprisingly vulnerable. You have to sort of condition your opponent around doing this stuff. Maybe they're blocking low on wake up, so you know, instead of, you know, you're blocking low instead of blocking high, because this is an overhead. It's not a terrible one at that, but compared to what a lot of the cats can do, it's just not really, you know, worth it. These are her only two special moves, by the way, and otherwise, her pokes are really solid. I mean, heavy kick is nice. You know, her punches are bad. Punches are always going to be stubby, even though she's the only one with a weapon. You know, still really stubby punches. You're going to see that as sort of a funny little theme here. You know, they're Sailor Moon characters. They have long legs, and as such, you're usually going to be using your kicks. Although, funny enough, I'm just testing it out. Pluto's crouching light punch has more range than crouching light kick due to the stat. Which is interesting enough, good to know if you're trying to mash out spacing and whatnot. But again, you're probably not going to want to get in that distance, because if you're going for like these kind of combos, you sort of want to get that knockdown with your crouching heavy kick. All characters have knockdowns in their crouch heavy kick, which means you can go set up any kind of wake up scenario. Yeah, I don't know why I'm choosing Pluto to explain to the mechanics. Probably because she has the least stuff to do. And then another mechanic that's kind of important to this game is that there's a desperation system, a la King of Fighters or Samurai Showdown, although it's definitely more King of Fighters-y. But the way it works is that whenever the timer is 10 seconds or less, or if you have low health, there's a specific animation that each character has. You know, the exhausted animation that indicates, yes, you can go for your desperation move. So hold on, Pluto's is a quarter circle back into forward, so the Potemkin Buster motion, if any of you know what that is, plus heavy punch. And she does that little lunge forward. Mind you, it's an amazing movement option. Because, as you can see, I'm already on top of Moon in 2 uses. But at the same time, you gotta be really, really good with your spacing. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna get stuffed otherwise, although I will admit, from the looks of it, doesn't look like it adds too much recovery once you whip it, so that's pretty nice. Does a bunch of multi-hits. Not the strongest due to the mobility factor in terms of damage, but it's okay. Surprisingly, it's not terrible. I've heard people say it's one of the best ones. Again, debatable, but I'm not saying it's bad by any stretch of the imagination. You know, it's simple, it's effective, and it's surprisingly fast. I want to say it's one of, if not the fastest supers or desperation moves in the game. I'm just going to use desperation super interchangeably. Yeah, no, and then in training mode you can pull up the inputs, although those menus aren't translated. Right. I'm just going to pick Neptune next. Neptune, you know, if Pluto's more of a ranged pokey character with a lot of just general set play shenanigans with the tornado fireball and the overhead. Neptune's sort of a Shoto, but not really. I meant to pull up the not close out. So, yep, okay. The upper move is her fireball, so that's Hatsu motion, backward quarter circle. This is her light one, this is her heavy one. A few things to note. It doesn't stay in one place, so it starts from her hand and goes down to the ground, sort of like a looping fireball. However, it doesn't exactly hit the ground as fast, it's sort of like a diagonal downward. It's not the worst, but at the same time, against fireballs like moons, sorry. Let me just configure the inputs for player 2 quickly. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. That's much better. So you'll see something like Moon's Fireball. And it doesn't exactly contest it, you know, Moon's Fireball starts and continues at a regular distance. Again, more on that later. But Neptune is definitely one of the characters who loses the Fireball Wars. I'd say she's in the bottom 3 of Fireballs. Not exactly as bad as Pluto in terms of, you know, Fireball warring, but she's definitely better than Chibi. You can get more on that. Hers is fast enough. It's a projectile that so that's really, really nice. Her grab is on her punch button, heavy punch, so she throws it down. And then her other move, you might have noticed the input, and the more privy you might guess what that is. That Shoryuken Dragon Punch input, and it is what it is. It's a Shoryuken Dragon Punch. So she sort of works more like Ken than Ryu because her Dragon Punch is really good. And again, I'm not able to demonstrate it. I'll definitely make a separate video on the idea of the guard canceling Sailor Moon S and why I personally think it's a really interesting system that way too many people sort of ignore as being really good in this game. It definitely separates a lot of intermediate players from beginner players in terms of piloting this game, because there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with guard cancels, right? So that's neither here nor there. And then Neptune Super, it's forward, quarter circle, forward, quarter circle, quarter circle, forward, so boom. And it's essentially just a Shinryu, right? You know, the big DP. Not exactly a big blue, per se, or not as versatile as something like a Mizuguchi Big Blue from a Carnhouse Revenge. Again, make sure you end on that forward input. Otherwise, you're just going to get your regular DP again. There's a reason I don't play this character. Mind you, you don't have the 3-2-3 input for your DP, so you have to go forward, forward, down, down, forward. There we go, yeah. I don't play her. That's alright. Again, both Pluto and Neptune are considered to be in the bottom half of the roster, or in the bottom echelon, per se. Again, they're not exactly unviable. It's just that they have a lot of limitations compared to the rest of the cast that make them a lot harder to work around. You're gonna see I'm skipping Uranus. Again, a lot of stuff I'll be explaining. Anyways, on to Jupiter, and this is where you start to see, you know, one of the cooler characters in the roster, you know. And when I say cool, I mean you're gonna see a lot of videos on this game where you're gonna be like, oh dang, Jupiter's got some cool ass stuff, you know. She's one of the few characters that makes the game, so obviously I'm going for Valerian, but keep doing that. I don't mean to exit out. I really don't mean to exit out. But, yep, and then we even have the original colors right here. So you can see Jupiter has a lot of special moves. Some of them are okay, some of them are really good. So I'm just going to go over them top to bottom. She has a Sonic Boom, this Electric Dragon. So it's a little electric stun animation, it's different for every cast member. It's not anything special. You can duck under it. So it's definitely a lot better if you're standing up. You saw I was doing the lariat earlier, that's forward kick. It's really good, it avoids fireballs. You can, yep, you can kick it. So again, works sort of like Zangief lariat. Zangief, pardon. I hate it when people mispronounce things, so yeah. I'm not gonna do my boy Diak like that. But yeah, and if you see this lariat, you can also surmise that there's a 360 input. She just sort of whirls you around. Then regarding guard cancels, if you're sort of locked in the corner, and you know someone's trying to catch you on wake up, you can just sort of hold and block, and then once you're in block's done, you know, without one of them moves. There is a heavy version. The light version hits, and it goes a pretty good distance. Like, really good, like, this sort of range you don't want to be in, because you are going to get tossed. Really, really good move. Heavy does a lot more damage in exchange. The whip is much larger. Yep, so she does 4 turns for light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for her heavy. And then there's one more move that I haven't noted about. Again, I'm not going to talk about normals, but especially with Jupiter, normals, they do what they need to, but compared to the rest of the cast, her normals are especially they're definitely a lot slower, more heavy hitting, sort of. This is a weird sweep, for instance. But either way, we're not here to talk about that. Obviously, you know, everyone has a back dash. I'm gonna know it when they also have a forward dash, which only applies to 2 characters in the cast, but again, we'll get there when we get there. Her big move is the Coconut Cyclone. And this move is absolutely notorious for its weird properties. Not exactly weird, but very, very strong, which turns her from an okay grappling character into one of the most interesting hybrids of all time. You know, the zoner grappler. You know, you might see characters like Waldstein with his long limbs from Uni doing a long limb grappler thing, but that doesn't really count as zoning. But Jupiter sort of has both in her arsenal, so this is a forward, down, motion, so a reverse quarter circle forward. And as you can see, the lighter one sort of goes a shorter distance and stays out shorter. The heavy one goes a longer distance and stays out longer. But, again, this is one of the first air specials, so you can tiger knee it, sort of. So, sort of like that. So if you go from up, forward, slide that down, and then all the way to directly down. So up, forward, down, forward, directly into down. So something like that. You can see it goes a much shorter distance, comes out faster. So that goes like right in front of him, for instance. However, this goes a bit of a shorter distance away. And that was like me doing it right before I hit the ground. So this move is extremely versatile. And you can see it's also one of those moves that have a lot of chip hits. This is one of those moves that do more damage on chip than hit. However, again, guard cancel means that a lot of characters can break out of it if they know how to time it. So not exactly like that, but so for example, Moon can forward dash, go for a fireball, or a lot of other characters can go for their fireballs. And overall, Jupiter's a really fun character. Play her if you really like keeping your opponent out, while also making them, you know, afraid of you coming in. You know, very interesting archetype. I've seen a lot of grappler players really like her because not only is she a grappler, but she also has a lot of tools to contest that range game. Very fun character. Probably one of the big five, in my opinion, in terms of, you know, characters that you'll most commonly see play the game. I'm just going to say it now, it's all the characters in this row right here that I consider to be the big five of Sailor Moon. You know, the other four, I'll get on them later, but for now we get to a real rushdown zoner as opposed to a grappler zoner. We got Mars here, and first off, let's take a look at her move kit. Press the right button this time. Quarter circle forward, punch and kick are both projectiles, and the Tatsu or back circle kick is a sort of crack shoot move. So very, very interesting. That's very much a rushdown type move. So anyways, this is her punch projectile. This is her Firebird. The heavy one goes faster at a much lower angle. The lighter one goes at a higher angle, but it's much slower. Again, both are very good anti-airs if you know what you're doing. And then the punch projectiles are these snakes. You know, heavy one goes faster, but has much longer recovery. So you can see I can walk back while it's on screen. You know, I have to wait for the snake to get on screen for heavy version to start moving. But with Light Snake, I can walk forward. So again, very good. She's amazing at contesting the fireball game, especially because, you know, she's into contestants, or rather, Fireball goes low, those characters go high. Again, Neptune. Neptune can contest this one maybe, like Snape, but Heavy Snape isn't really different entirely because if Neptune tries to start a Fireball, it's not going to go down fast enough, and, it's just a really good move because it moves in the ground. It also hits crouchers and does chip damage to them, which is very nice. You can't low profile them with specific moves, but either way, those are those moves. Then we have a Crack Shoot, both of which are really, really good. Just, catching opponents off guard. It's also a very interesting anti-air. You see how it has that little skybox, sort of an aerial hitbox you can use to catch aerial opponents, but what else do we have? We have her kick throw, and she also has a punch throw, which is these slaps. Usually you're going to go for slap throw more often than not, but kick throw is also really solid. Yep. Very easy, very simple. Then thing that I personally more notoriously know. Oh, hold on a second. I might have forgotten this with other characters. I didn't, although Jupiter also has one. So air throws exist, and the characters that have them are as follows: Sailor Jupiter, Sailor Mars, Sailor Moon, Sailor Mercury. And those are the 4 characters who have air throws. Not all of their throws. Some of the characters have multiple throws. Not all of them are air available, but they all do have air throws. Yep, so that's an air throw. And then the thing that's most notorious about Mars is her combo game. So if you've ever seen the light kick, heavy kick into heavy crack shoot. Again, you can also do it really fast. Make sure they don't have recovery. You can see they're still shaking during the heavy kick. In that hit stun. So yeah, that's a move that most definitely exists. And that bread and butter alone, if you can pull it off, does about 50% damage, which is really good. Which is amazing. And then, oh man, I forgot Jupiter's super move. I'll get back on that in a bit. Probably just use CPU for that. But Mars's is backwards half circle, then a quarter circle from backwards to down. With this upward arching snake. And you can also sort of option select this if you're doing the back. If you're really close, you could go for the backwards kick. This also just does a lot of damage, but you can't see it in training mode because, yeah, sorry about that. Anyways, she's very good at rush down. Mars is just the rush down type character. Hold on, I'm trying to do Jupiter's super before I... There we go. That's it. Her super is like Falcon Punch of sorts. Sort of, she winds up, and if you're trapped in the corner on Wake Up, That does a lot of chip damage. You know, very solid wake-up option if they're on low enough health and you know that this will chip them down enough. Very nice. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to throw it out in neutral. Oops, go to very terrible demonstration. But again, I can go ahead and, you know, get out of the corner very easily. It's much easier when yep, something like that. So it's very easy to punish if you whip. Very strong if you ensure that it hits. Either way, yeah, that's Jupiter. That's all on Jupiter this time. Anyways, we move on to my personal favorite, my personal main, Sailor Moon. One thing that I'll also note is bufferable backdashes do exist. Again, more on this later. However, Moon can buffer her backdash into a backdash. Usually her backdash has 17 frames of invulnerability, but you can turn that into 34 if you time it right, and it's a really solid get off me option. And you can also guard cancel it. Again, you can guard cancel a lot of things. I know I'm just throwing these notes around in the video, but it's alright. So essentially what that means is, you know, guard cancel. You can guard cancel into specials, you can guard cancel into a backdash, or in Moon's case, she also has a forward dash, or rather a forward hop. But this is a really good moving forward option. Her walk is okay. But it's also just a really good approaching option. It is very easy to punish if you know what you're doing. You know, you go for an anti-air. A lot of anti-air stuff is actually, but you gotta be careful, but if they're not expecting it, it's a really good option just to get in. Or maybe, you know, maybe you're trapped in the corner or something. If they don't know, maybe they're at like this distance and they can't do much to you, you're out of the corner now. And now they're in a much more dangerous situation. Anyways, I know a lot more about Moon because I actually play her. She is a fireball, a Hadoken, like an actual Hadoken input, or a circle forward punch. You know, heavy one does more damage, but takes longer to, you know, recover from. She also has an air fireball, which is backwards force, force circle backwards punch. But about the buffering thing, you might notice that the characters sort of hop when they're off the ground. This does mean that they're airborne. So you can sort of backdash into heart, so you go back, down, down, back, and then the other back. And that the last three inputs will register the heart. So you'll see a lot of Moon mains just sort of go for this on ground start. Very reminiscent of something like Third Strike Akuma, back jump fireball. Because that's sort of what it is, but this is a lot better because it just goes in the ground and it practically remains you grounded. That's the bigger deal. Because you're not exactly airborne punishable on this. It's not exactly like they can chase you. This move is also just really good if you want to stuff someone in the air. So say you see a Jupiter trying to go for coconut cyclones in the air. You can just stuff her using this, the heavy part. Very fast, will outspeed, you know, again, you need to predict a bit, but nothing impossible. She also the first character to have a charge motion that I'm noting. Actually, never mind. I lied, but she's the first one to have like a charge reversal, the only one with sort of a flash kick. So yell, it's also on punch button. Lighter one does like a lot of chip damage. Doesn't knock down. The heavy one is really nice because it does knock down and it does more damage. But if you're blocking the heavy one, Hold on a second, I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. You'll see that when I block, it does a lot of good chip damage. It really is solid chip damage. Again, Moon also has a few combos, so really good get off me. Again, I'll probably make a fuller Moon gun since this is the character I actually main. You know, more matchup-y stuff. But you can go from heavy kick. Again, there is a cancel system. Special. So you can go kick into one of your fireballs. Flyer Fireball is honestly a bit more recommended because it has a better recovery. Just getting lost in my exhaust. Then this is our super. It's the Pillar Super. It's a very good anti-air, very good for stuffing dash-ins, or like, it's also really good in the Moon Ditto. You know, you see her forward dash sort of goes in the air. Essentially, if you've seen Marvel vs. Capcom 3, sort of like a Dante jam session that's that takes up distance from one little spot completely vertically. It's very good for that use. You don't see a lot of early Moon mains, especially myself, using this as much. You should. It's really good. You can also option select it into a kick throw. You know, if they don't wake up fast enough. It's also just a really good option on wake up. Hold on a second. Still does a really hefty amount of chip damage. Although, a big tell for when this move will end, 1, 2, you know, she has little twinkles, 1, 2, and then she drops, 1, 2, and then she drops, and then she's very, very much punishable. Not a lot of people have done it from what I'm able to see. This is just a really good move on a really solid character. Again, the middle 5, I think they're probably the most solid characters that are either very weak or very busted. But again, that's really neither here nor there. That's Moon for you. Again, she also has the air grab with her kick throw. So, booyah. That's a big distance. It's happened to me a lot, especially in the Moon Ditto. But again, something you should definitely take note of if you're, you know, air to airing a lot more often than you think. Next up is Mercury, and again, I forgot to mention, Moon is essentially just she's more of a Terry event than, but not really. She's very much a Shoto zoner type, very much like Oro. I used to be an Oro main in Third Strike, but she's a lot easier to play than Oro. Anyways, hold on, let me pull up the move list. Okay, Sailor Mercury. Charge back forward punch. That's Kikoken or her Shabon spray in this case. So, you know, Sonic Boom. Move that does things. You might also notice a Tiger Ninja. That's her Tornado. So, core circle forward, and then you go up forward. You'll often see a lot of Mercury players with this. There is a jump spot animation. You might hear me sort of matching it out. She also has a wall kick. Very funny, very cool, very silly. You know, she's Chun-Li. And then her spinning bird kick is forward, down, down, forward, or dragon punch, or you can input with kick. And this move's alright, I guess. She has her other fireballs, but the most notable thing about her is that her walk speed is amazing. Her backdash speed is also really good. You can't do the backdash cancel. It's just a known and chibi thing. Then you can backwards quarter circle forward, backwards half circle forward, and this does her kick reversal. Super. Again, this is another move that you can punish preemptive move forward dashes with. Very, very nice. Does leave you a bit open though. So that, again, I'm playing keyboard and fight stick here for both my P1, P2. Otherwise, she's got her throw. Also air available. Her pokes are solid. And yeah, nothing much else to say. She's very much mobile. She's essentially what I think they were trying to make Street Fighter 2. CPS 1, so like Hyper Fighting, Champion Edition, stuff like that. This is sort of like that kind of Chun-Li. Very, very solid. Next up is Venus. Venus is very funny. Venus is a corner trap character, which very much excels in, you know, just outranging you. You can see all of her heavy punches use her whip. So you'll see it might be a bit slow on the ground. Another thing to note is that I forget which move low profiles fireballs, but she can low profile certain fireballs. She has a Hadoken fireball, support circle, or punch. She has a Shoryuken type input, again, forward, down, down, forward, into either one of her punches. This does her little whip thing. She has a punch throw. You know, the animation might be deceiving. She grabs you and then throws you. She also has a kick throw. Again, more convincingly, this is a kick throw. But she also has one of the weirder moves in the game, and it's called the up ball. You know, you charge down, you push up, and then you press the punch button, and it creates an up ball. And this is the crux of her corner pressure, because this is a move that, you know, say you're trying to walk out of it, too bad, up ball. You know, you have an entire wall in front of you, not as, you know, it's not as large as something like Jupiter's Coconut Cyclone, but it's a lot faster. It's a lot easier to trap your opponent in. And then her super is half circle forward, and then from the forward into down quarter circle, so reverse quarter circle forward. This is just a really good move. The initial whip is really nice because it stuffs, you know, jump out attempts. And then the big blast, sort of like Lee Arnobs or think Gato from Goro has one. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, she also has a backdash. Everyone's got a backdash. Otherwise, yeah, very cool, very corner pressury. A lot harder to pilot than Moon in terms of the big five. In terms of like pilotability, I'd say the order for that would be, you know, these two I would say are tied for the easiest. Mercury and Mars, then it goes Jupiter, then it goes Moon, then it goes Venus from easiest to hardest. Now we're going to look at Chibi. And Chibi is one of those funny characters that you might have seen because she has funny mechanics. Not, you know, built in, but yeah, take a look. She does have a double jump. She does have a dive kick, so you hold down in the air, you press the kick button. Very good if you sort of tiger knee and you know how to tiger knee. Otherwise, she does leave her ass wide open, literally, and she's very susceptible to punishes. Also, if you whip and you hit the ground, you're very easy to just grab or hit or go into a combo or something like that. Very situational. She also has a Sonic Boom move. Yep, so those are two specials. You know, hold back, like forward, press punches. And then she also says she has a punch grab. So heavy punch forward and backward, grabs them. And then you might have seen this in other videos. I know Zam or someone else has made a really good video on the core mechanics of this and why the game allows you to do this. Essentially, you can buffer your backdash into another backdash, and Chibi will be fully invulnerable. So this is a very popular timeout strategy. If you got a life lead, you know, that's your backdash. That's the Chibi backdash. And then one more thing to note for folks kind of stink, you know. Her crouching heavy kick slides, so her knockdown slide, and you can sort of cancel that into a backdash, so even if they block, hold on a sec, this might be hard to set up with one person. There we go, so you can sort of like, even on hit, you can go into the backdash from there. Very much a good spacing option. And then there's one other move that you can tiger knee in this game. Essentially, much like the backdash heart for Moon, and much like the coconut cyclone for Jupiter, this is the third big move that you're going to be doing this with, and that is Chibi's Desperation. So you can go back. So it's air, quarter circle back, heavy punch. And it's the Luna P bomb, and it's very, very good. You can see it goes practically full screen. You can see it probably does a lot of chip damage. It does a solid amount of chip, but the main thing about it is that it's big. You can also do it low on the ground, so if you back and forward circle back, you can sort of get that backdash thing, sort of like a backdash heart, but, you know, a lot stronger. Again, the only caveat is that this move is Desperation, and as such, you know, either 10 seconds left in the round, or 10 seconds left where you're at really low health, and if it's Chibi, you don't want to be at low health, you know, too low health, because then again, that's a lead that you're going to have a really hard time taking back, unless you catch them making a mistake. So again, she simultaneously has a really great win condition. However, the ends don't always justify the means for Chibi. She is very much a character that asks, does her ends justify the means? AKA, is it really worth it playing such a terrible character for a majority of your game before you get desperation? Because you will get desperation. That's the thing about any character, is that they'll always be guaranteed to win desperation if they're on the back burner, which Chibi usually is. So that's Chibi. And then last but most definitely not least is the notorious Uranus. Very, very notorious character. And for multiple reasons, but her big one is her forward dash. She's the only character with a forward dash very similar to her back dash. Both of which are insanely fast. She also has spinning pile driver, 360 input move, sort of like Zanya. She also has just a regular kick throw, punch throw too. So spinning pile driver is really good. So you can like forward dash into pile driver. It's really nice. That's actually an infinite right there. Because of the hit stun of crouching heavy punch and the absolute speed of forward dash. I can't do it consistently, but there are people who can. This is an infinite, not just a touch of death, but straight up infinite. She's doing the same thing over and over again. She is banned in a lot of Sailor Moon S circles for that reason. You know, apart from her other moves. And then her fireball is a forward, like a reverse forward, so forward to down. Otherwise, yeah. Nothing really much to say about her, other than she's really good. Again, her kick also slides, so she can also do the Chibi move, backdash shenanigan. Otherwise, yeah, that's a basic overview of much of the cast. Uranus is really good. Very simple game plan if you know how to do your forward dash, how to do your infinite. Again, the most common infinite is, I don't know if it's the only infinite, but the infinite that I usually see is crouching light punch, crouching heavy punch, forward dash, repeat ad infinitum until the match is over. It's also a really good block stun infinite, so essentially a character will be stuck in block. Again, another likely cheesy mechanic. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it, and I can't believe I spent an hour almost going through this. Oh, I almost forgot. So backwards half circle, forwards half circle. Mr. Super. That's just sort of the nice enough cake. Very similar to Pluto's, but better. It does a lot of damage. Like a lot of damage. Like, pop. Yeah, no, so that's an overview, a brief one you know, if you can call an hour-ish brief of Sailor Moon S, the fighting game, on the Super Nintendo, very cool. I'm very much a fan of it. Um, if you see me on Fightcade, I'm Bowser Browser. Just hit me up with some matches. I'm always down to, you know, playing my Moon, or if you want to get scummed on by my Uranus, then I'll try my best to go for those infinites. Otherwise, yeah, that's the end of this. Just pop back character select screen. So yeah, brief overview on the characters. Just go back to them one by one. Pluto, very much a lower tier character, but she's not exactly what I would consider bottom tier, as in unplayable. She's still very, very playable, and people have played her really, really well. It's just that she misses a lot of the tools other characters have. But again, she does have a lot of anti-fireball moves. She is very much a corner pressure character with her overhead special, and she's very much just a very competent character, but not an excellent one compared to the rest of the cast. Still very playable. Same with Neptune. Neptune has it a bit easier since she has her anti-air in the form of her Shoryuken Dragon Punch move. She also has a better fireball. Not exactly one to win the fireball wars, but overall very much a very simple character to pilot, very easy game plan. Uranus is broken. That's pretty much all I have to say. Jupiter is a Zoner Grappler with her Coconut Cyclone and her 360 grab. Very, very solid. She also has a Lariat and a Sonic Boom move if you're interested in either of those to mix things up. Her normals are a bit lacking, but her specials really, really take the cake and make her not an amazing character, but very, very solid, just like the rest of the middle five in this, like boom, 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 boom. Mars is a Zoner rushdown character. She very much likes to get in your face and goes for combos, and if she's not in your face, then she will throw out birds and snakes, and she'll go all animal on you. Very, very, again, very easy to pilot kind of character. Moon's a bit more technical. She has her flash kick punch. She has 2 fireballs, 1 grounded, 1 aerial. She has her forward dash. She can go for her back dash hard because back dashes are in the air. Very technical, but very, very rewarding to play. She has tools practically for most situations. And I almost forgot to mention. I'll mention supers at the end. But again, very, very solid. Has a much higher curve, but has a much larger skill ceiling by comparison than a lot of these other characters. So very much, if you want to play the long haul, sort of like me, then she is absolutely a character that can reward you for learning matchups, learning how to play the game, learning the mechanics. It's very much a very, very fun character in my opinion. That's why I made her. Mercury is the Chun-Li function of this game. She's got her anti-air fireball, very, very solid. She has her bubble Kikoken, her bubble fireball, and her kicks or whatever. But again, her walk speed is very good. Her normals are very solid. Her backdash is really good. Very much just if you want to play, very simple Chun-Li type play style, then she's definitely the way to go. Venus is, again, I put Venus somewhere in the bottom 4 of the cast. Not exactly the worst, but at the same time, I'd say she's very similar to Pluto, but she's a lot more effective due to her fireball potential, especially up ball. Otherwise, very, very solid, very good corner trapping. Fun fact, a Venus thing did in fact win the Combo Breaker Sailor Moon S competition this year. So again, very, very interesting fact. Something to note is that she's, again, all these characters are very easy to pilot. All these characters can win tournaments, and I believe they have won tournaments. Again, it's not also just like, oh, it's a very small roster. It's that all these characters are very, very solid within their own rights. Chibi Moon is you know, heads and tails kind of character, night and day. You know, she's very bad when you start off playing her, you know, at the beginning of the round, but towards the end of the round, she becomes an absolute monster with her desperation. Um, she's also just very much the knowledge check character. You have to figure out, okay, how do I beat the backdash? Again, that might be another thing I'll look at in the future, but again, how do you beat the backdash? Um, and then going over supers, Pluto's is very solid. Neptune's is very situational, you know, because it goes so high in the air and you might be very punishable if you whip it. Uranus is very good. Again, Jupiter's is also situational, but at the very least it does remain grounded, so you can use it on grounded wake-ups. Mars is very solid, you know, the angled snake fireball, very easy to sort of confuse someone to thinking, oh, it's just another grounded snake. You know, you can easily confuse opponents with the animation. It's also just a very good anti-air. You know, if you really need to get the kill and Bird's not going to do it for you. Moon's is very solid. Again, also very situational, but I think hers has a lot more, you know, it adds a lot more to her kit than the other characters' desperations do, surprisingly enough, due to the fact that you don't have to charge down for her anti-air desperation, which is very nice. Mercury's is like Neptune's, pretty much the same things can apply. You know, it goes high, very good anti-air, can whip, easy to punish if it does whip. Pardon. Venus, very, very good. Very much in line with her character, you know, corner pressure. Again, that's actually the thing that I think separates her and Pluto even further, is that her desperation super is just really good at reinforcing that corner pressure game plan. You know, very solid. Again, I think I must have forgotten to mention Uranus. I'm sure someone will clown on me if they said, oh, but you already did. Uranus and Pluto, practically the same. Uranus is just kind of better because Uranus is just kind of better. And then Chibi's desperation is really good. Top one in the game. Defines her character, but in exchange, you know, you have to play the rest of the game, you know, sort of on hard mode if you want to get access to that desperation. So otherwise, yeah, that's a very, I wouldn't say a brief overview of Sailor Moon. Again, I'm still going over an hour at this point, but yeah, if you have questions, just be sure to let me know. I'm probably going to make some content, you know, on my experience as a Moon main, you know, some Moon-specific stuff, maybe some stuff about the Zam scam, maybe some stuff about, you know, the guard cancel system in this game, because it is really fun. It is really fun, and it's something that really defines this game from other, you know, similar titles, and it's something that makes it very, very Anime Fighter-esque, despite, you know, obviously being a Street Fighter 2, you know, adjacent game. But either way, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I've been sitting down for an hour and talking for an hour, and I'm also recording this after, you know, going to a local and playing Sailor Moon, so I think I'm very Sailor Mooned out. Ironically, I think I'm going to spend the rest of my day playing Idol Showdown. Maybe I'll make something on that. Maybe I'll try and figure out some stuff to lab in there. But either way, I'm tangenting a lot. I think I'm just going to call it here. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thank you for hearing me talk about one of my favorite fighting games. And I'll see you.